Hello, United States of America, and greetings to every single one of you here in Panama and all over the planet. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Kevin J. Johnston Show, where we have part 4 of Canada's best, greatest, and most caring politician, Lisa Robinson. She's joining us again to talk about corruption in city councils, not just in the city of Pickering next to Toronto, but all over the country. She's just recently been to Ottawa, everyone, and had a few things to say to the public that upset a couple of lefties. And oh my goodness gracious me, whatever are we going to do when Antifa is not happy with a conservative speaking their mind? Oh, geez, you know what? I think I'm going to be okay. I think I will survive Antifa's feelings on the issue. Oh my God. Wow. All right, we're going to start off. Let's just dive right into it. This is part 4. Lisa Robinson's been on the show 3 weeks in a row. She's come under fire for it. Why? I don't know. I guess because I'm gorgeous. That has to be it. And Lisa herself is like 95% as good looking as I am. Like, she really is that beautiful. Come on. Right. And well, the chunky ladies that are on the same city council don't like her because she's pretty and they're not. And that's how petty it's become in politics in Canada. You know how they always said, just wait till you get to adult life. Things are going to be great. Everyone behaves themselves and everyone's mature and nobody calls names. And the exact opposite's true. The older people get, the worse that they get. And politics in Canada, it's like school children. But they're arguing over what? The same toothpick. Everybody wants to chew the same toothpick and everybody thinks it's their turn right now. And they're going to insult you if they can't have the toothpick right this second. Well, too bad. And so sad, as they say. Look, let's dive into this. Lisa Robinson went to Ottawa and had this to say. I'm going to play it now. It's about 7 minutes long.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Councillor Lisa Robinson from the city of Pickering. Friends, neighbors, and fellow citizens, we stand at a pivotal moment in our community's history. A moment where we must decide who we are, what we stand for, and how we will shape the future for ourselves and all generations to come. For too long, politics have been dominated by those who serve themselves before serving the people. We've seen corruption seep into the very fabric of our institutions, leaving too many of us feeling powerless, unheard, and disillusioned. The voices of the people, the everyday hardworking citizens who make our community thrive, have too often been drowned out by the noise of self-interest and backroom deals. But today I'm standing before you to say enough is enough. We deserve better. We deserve leaders who are willing to fight for the common good, who are guided by common sense, and who understand the struggles and the hopes of the everyday common people. I'm here today not just as a politician, but as one of you, a member of this community who knows what it's like to worry about paying the bills, finding a safe place for her child to play, and making sure that there is enough food on the table. I know the frustration of seeing our tax dollars wasted on projects that benefit a few, while our schools, hospitals, and public services have to suffer. But I also know the strength and resilience of this community. I've seen it in our neighbors helping neighbors, in our local businesses lifting up each other, and in the voices that refuse to be silenced in the face of injustice. And no matter our differences, we are united under one banner, the Canadian flag.
Supposed to be that
way. A flag that represents the values we hold dear: fairness, equality, and justice for all.
And it used to.
It reminds us that we are stronger together, bound by a shared commitment to build a brighter future for every Canadian. I believe in a politics that puts people first, where the needs of our families, our workers, and our seniors take precedence over the interests of the powerful. And I believe in transparency, accountability, and integrity.
No one else
I believe that together we can build a government that truly serves the people. But I can't do it alone.
That part's
And
correct. You can't.
I need your help. Together, we must stand up against the corruption that has taken root in our political system. We must demand that our leaders act with honesty and fairness. We must hold them accountable when they fail us, and we must work tirelessly to ensure that our government reflects the values of our community. I promise you this. I will always stand up for what is right, even when it's difficult. I will listen to your concerns and make sure that your voices are heard. And I will fight for a future where our children can grow up in a world that is fairer, more just, and filled with opportunity. This is our moment. This is our fight. Let's stand together, united in our determination to bring about real change. Let's reject the politics of division, corruption, and cynicism. Let's build a future where we can all thrive, proud to be Canadians, and proud to stand together beneath our red and white flag. And when future generations look back on this time, let them say that we were the ones who stood up, who spoke out, who made a difference. Let them say that we are the ones who fought for a better, fair, and more just world. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you for your trust and for your support and your belief in the power of the people, because together we will create a future we all deserve, united as Canadians and as a community.
It's annoying to do this kind of speech, just for the record.
I've been sexually harassed. I've been threatened, psychologically abused, sanctioned financially, leaving me without the means to provide for my family.
All by losers, by the way.
I've been labeled as a transphobic, a homophobic, and a racist. And that's just to name a few. From my own colleagues at council. I've been yelled at. I've been degraded.
By losers.
And humiliated.
By losers.
All because I fulfilled my obligations as an elected official to be the voice of the people by wanting to remain a neutral politician, as we should be. By only flying governmental flags on governmental buildings. By advocating for my constituents that every man, woman, boy, girl should have the choice to either use a biological bathroom of their choice or to use a universal room that would be inclusive of all genders and or families.
No, thanks.
And by wanting to put age restrictions on pride events and drag queen story times.
Yes.
What kind of an example is this setting to silence elected officials such as myself or anybody else who wants to stand out against what is happening in today's world?
No, communism. It proves my point.
Because when you're silencing me, you're silencing the voice of the people.
And that's absolutely true.
Where is the justice?
In Canada, there is none, unfortunately.
Thank you, and God bless all of you. I'll take any questions.
Okay, so that is Lisa Robinson, everybody, who is here right now.
Hi, Kevin. Hi.
I wonder what happened to Kevin. I think his internet must have cut out or his power went out or something.
Oh, no.
Yeah, here he's coming back.
My bad. I closed the wrong browser tab. My bad. Totally on me. Lisa, so good to see you again. Hair looks fantastic. And thank you for giving that speech, by the way. Yeah, that was absolutely remarkable. And you're the only one speaking like this right now. I mean, Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party, who may be the prime minister next year, he does that. But, as far as I'm concerned, everything that he's doing so far just seems to be talk. You're the only one actually doing. And you're paying the price for it by having your salary taken from you. You've had to get cameras on your house. and you had bodyguards, I guess, like protecting you at this event because these other left-wing nuts are nuts. All of them. They are crazy. So thank you for what you're doing. And by the way, everybody, Ed, move your face for a second. I was about to point at something. Ed, split for 1 second. See this right here? That. Lisa Robinson. GiveSendGo.com. GiveSendGo.com/GB9DP. So that's Golf Bravo 9 Delta Papa. Please head over there and support Lisa, who essentially doesn't even have a salary, but is still working as a city councilor for all of you. Okay, Ed, come back in. Where is he? And now he's gone. Well, I just wanted to say to all of the other city council members, I once again invited them to come on the show. None of them replied to my email at all. Maybe they don't like me calling them what they are, cowards. And there's the other word you asked me not to use, so I won't use it until later. Because I know you can't stay for the whole show. So after you do, stick around for Kevin J. Johnston's rant. Because Kevin J. Johnston has a lot of things to say. Eddie, go ahead. What's your question there, pal, before we get into our next video? Because Lisa has a story to tell.
Okay, so just so you know, I've also been threatened. I've been threatened to have my plane messed with. They published pictures. They published my home address. They tried to go after my customers and employers, previous employers. So this is nothing new. When you're on the side of the truth and you're fighting communism that's creeping into this country, and it's on all levels of government right now, you got to expect these kind of attacks. Now, these counselors, they've probably been warned, either you become a commie or we'll make life a little miserable for you. You've actually suffered that, and you're seeing it firsthand. And you got to remember one thing about the lunatics on the left. Victory at any price. They don't care. They don't care about you. They only care about lining their pockets with corrupt payoffs, rigging the system for their own benefit. So you're right in what you were saying. People got to wake up to what's going on. And, you know, that's why I'm glad that you're coming on the show to actually speak the truth with facts and tell the stories with facts that you can back up. There's no lies. It's all true.
Ed,
it takes a lot of courage.
I want to hear the story now. I know we've all said that. So I'm gonna stop doing the ass kissing myself because you are phenomenal. But I got to. What happened? You gave this speech. What happened right after the speech? Go.
Yeah, so I was in Ottawa at at our conference that we were having there, the AMO, which is the Association of the Municipals of Ontario. And while I was there, I had decided that I wanted to go and speak at CPAC and give my speech, which I did, which is great. As you can see, I mean, it's been popular everywhere. It's got a lot of hits, and you know, a lot of people have been reaching out to me in support. There's been tons and tons of support. Well, that happened, I guess that was on the Monday night. And then Tuesday afternoon at the AMO conference, the last part of the late afternoon was where all of the ministers for the provincial government were there, and they got up to do like a panel session. And so, like, you know, all of us, which would be all city councilors, mayors, you know, there were CAOs, there were vendors there. We all gathered into, you know, for this question and answer period, let's say, from the ministers. So they had like 4 microphones set up at different areas in the hall. And I was going to get up there. So I'm standing in line. I'm like about 8 people back. And, you know, I was just going to go up and I was going to ask a question to Minister Calandra and ask him why was strong mayor's powers? Why could you only get strong mayor's powers if you had agreed to sign the housing pledge? Because, I mean, that's a legitimate question, right? Like, what does one have to do with the other? Because, you know, it was only contingent on signing the housing pledge. So, I mean, there's something going on there. Hi, like, you know, I'll give you these powers, but, you know, you have to promise to do this and sign. And if you didn't sign, then you didn't get the powers, right? Something shady going on there. So I wanted to get directly from Minister Calandra, like, you know, what was that all about? So I'm standing there in line waiting patiently. And the next thing you know, I hear one of my fellow councilors, Maranagi, her name gets called. And
Oh,
there
yeah.
she,
Her, that one.
yeah,
There we go.
yeah,
That's
Ward
the
2, Marinagi.
Ugh.
She
Ugh.
gets called. And then all of a sudden she starts giving this speech. And the next thing you know, I hear my name being mentioned in front of hundreds of people that are here. And I'm telling you, it was absolutely disgusting. But you know what? I felt bad. I was horrified. I was literally horrified at the time. But then the more as she started speaking and I was hearing what she was saying, I mean, I was feeling more embarrassed for her at the time. And that's the truth. Like, I'm listening to her and then I started getting embarrassed for her because she's sitting there, she's trying to do all these like personal attacks on me, but then say that they're not personal. And really the only thing that she's trying to achieve from having her speech is to change the municipal act. Whereas that would give the right for any council to be able to remove a sitting member of council who's elected by the people. So basically it's going against democracy, as we all know, because who gives them the right to get rid of somebody that the people voted in? So I found it to be very embarrassing. And, it really, the whole entire situation basically just amplified the toxic environment that I'm facing on a day-to-day basis with these guys, right? Where open dialogue and respectful disagreement has been replaced with just personal attacks and divisive rhetoric.
Well, Lisa,
and it's in my opinion, it's completely disgusting that anybody who's in a position of power does not believe in democracy. And that's a hard pill to swallow. So once I, started thinking about that, the attack on me wasn't as bad because I know that I'm in the right. And this just shows what kind of people they really are.
I want to play the video because,
Yeah.
when I was laughing all the way through it. I'm going to do my best, everyone, tonight not to lose it in the way of laughing like I did the last time we talked about this particular.
With the blah, blah, blah.
Oh, God. And the individual who's about to speak is this one here. The one who complained to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation that I called her obese, which she is. That's as far as I'm going to go because Lisa's here and I'm going to be nice until, And I was laughing at the fact she was bragging about having a degree in women's studies and toilet flushing and I don't know, like gum chewing and something else, some other garbage. And she was stating it matter-of-factly like we were supposed to care and was complaining about some fields of endeavor being male-dominated, which many fields are. Blah, blah, blah. I worked in a male-dominated field. I think she said something on the lines of, well, I served coffee to men in a men's-dominated field. I don't know, whatever she said. It was ridiculous. I broke out laughing. But Lisa, what she's about to say takes the cake. This is the height of foolishness. Like this is a pinnacle of foolishness in human history here. Here she goes. Same one. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Mara Nagy. I'm a counselor in Pickering. These questions for Mr. Calandra. Yesterday afternoon, Lisa Robinson, a counselor with us in Pickering, was able to hold a press conference at Parliament Hill. She used taxpayer funding to get herself to AMO and used this conference as a way to slander the rest of us on council in a press conference that was called utterly bizarre by a member of the press. This follows the 3 appearances with an upcoming 4th at her instigation on an alt-right podcast hosted by a convicted criminal who has fled the country to avoid consequences for his hate crimes. This is the latest in a string of indiscretions that our council has outlined to you, Minister. The alt-right have come into our chambers and explicitly said that Pickering is a test case. They've prided themselves on trustees and councillors being elected in other provinces. Minister, despite my examples, this is not about one person. This is a provincial crisis. We are here now because no one could have imagined the egregiousness of this behavior. No one would have made this rule before because no one could imagine a politician saying the things that we are hearing. As a result of the lack of implementation, I, my mayor, my councillors, and our families are being targeted with no resolution but a very minute penalty for this aggressor. In the last year, we've been constantly living with death threats, incitement to violence, harassment, psychological trauma, and the constant fear, emotional, personal toll, and exhaustion that we did not ask for and that shouldn't come with our positions. We all have a job to do, and we've been doing ours, so now we implore you to help us. This is a counselor who is disrupting our meetings, delaying business, and creating so much chaos to the point that we are unable to move forward with motions and resolutions. We have heard from developers and businesses who are concerned that housing is not being built and that businesses are afraid to come to Pickering.
No, they're not.
Please, let us help you. Connect with municipalities to create a powerful tool with teeth. I invite you to take me up personally on this, and I will work side by side with you to make sure that what I have experienced in the last year and a half of my term, my first term, by the way, is not something that anyone else ever has to go through again. A year has passed.
Look at these losers clapping. This guy here is clapping. Wow.
I'm so proud of her.
It's unbelievable. Okay, so let's break that one down for a second.
Well, people just clap because people clap after everybody speaks, right? It doesn't mean they necessarily agree with them or even knew what the heck was going on, right?
You're right, Lisa. And for all you clap, seals do that. If you were to get a seal drunk, that's all it's going to do for 3 straight days. And that's what you all are, is a bunch of seals. We're just doing what you're told. Okay, Lisa, let's break this down for a second here. This is Nagy here. We saw her on the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation where she says, and she couldn't speak. She was doing this, and it was something like 9 seconds of before she got a word out. So she didn't write that speech.
No.
Who did?
No. I'm sure it was the same person that writes the mayor's speeches. Absolutely.
Who's that?
Mark Ginto.
Mark Ginto. So Ginto. Mark, give me a picture of him.
He writes all of the mayor's speeches, actually.
Does he work for the city of Pickering?
Yep, he does.
So the taxpayers are paying for some idiot to come in there and write left-wing rhetoric for the mayor to read?
Yeah, I would probably have to say that, he does pretty much all the writing. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so this guy here, the current mayor, who was crying to this, just so everyone is clear, this is the mayor of Pickering. He complained to a 23-year-old girl at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation because I told the truth about his rotundedness. He's not the skinniest guy in the world, and he didn't like the fact that I called him out on that. What is it with men being upset about being called fat when they're fat? I don't get it. As men, we're supposed to roll with insults. Man, you should hear the stuff they've said about me. You gotta enjoy this stuff. But he cried to children. Kevin did that, and then Lisa, they're fat. That's what's going on here. So you have a professional speechwriter that the city of Pickering is using to write garbage like this. To what avail? How does that benefit the city? Please tell us, if at all.
Well, I mean, I don't know. And I mean, I can't say 100% that he wrote her speech, but it sure sounds like something that he would.
She didn't.
Yeah.
Was anything that she said actually, is she a she, or is she a he, or he, she, or
no, her pronouns, she wears her pronouns proudly on her, of all of her emails and that. She's a she, her, as far as I'm aware of. Yeah.
So she's her. Okay. So I'm
yeah.
not misgendering. Anyways, was there anything she said that was actually could be backed up and found out that any of it was true, or is it all made up?
Well, it was all made up except for maybe the first line that says that we were there that I made my way out there on taxpayers' money. But I guess she failed to mention that so did her and the mayor and all the other councillors and pretty much everybody in the entire room, whether you were an MPP, a mayor, or a city councillor. We were all there on taxpayers' money. So, to single it out and to say that I made my way there on taxpayers' money so I could go speak at Parliament Hill, I mean, that's kind of funny, right?
Did you drive?
Pardon?
Did you drive there?
Did I drive? No, I actually took a train for the first time, and I got to say, Via Rail was incredible. I'd never been on
Okay.
a train before, so yeah.
The vast majority of those mayors that were there would have flown there. So you took a train as opposed to flying.
Yeah, they would have flown there for the most part. Most of the MPPs did get there because a lot of them did end up arriving late because of the situation with the trains. There were a lot of delayed flights and everything else. So, yeah, but no, I took a train there. I mean, and it was that was my first trip that I ever took. I guess we're going to say on taxpayers' money to go to a conference that I'm really, really glad that I went to because it really opened up my eyes a lot. So,
Okay,
And
so
when- Ed, hold on. I gotta go through this. I really do, because I crashed one of these, Mayor. And don't worry, Ed, your question's coming up. I crashed one of these. Michael McCormick and I crashed one of these mayor's parties in Ottawa, where they had lobster and they had a chocolate fondue fountain and they had every gourmet food known to man. Yeah, we stuffed up. We filled our plates and just ate whatever we wanted. And we were being asked by some of the mayors there, so who are you gentlemen? Oh, we're the guys documenting everything. We lied. And eventually they figured out who I was and they stopped talking to me, but not until they divulged all kinds of secrets about what this meeting was. And it was a social gathering for all the mayors across the country to go to Ottawa and eat lobster. Seemingly that's all they were doing. Now, what's your take on it? And then Ed, you ask your question, please.
well, I had never actually been to one of these conventions before. I missed the federal one just recently. I think it was in Calgary. It was, so I didn't go to that. But no, what you're saying is pretty much true. I mean, they have parties every night, like free open bar parties and free food everywhere you want to go. But I didn't partake in any of them. I showed up at one restaurant. I had a Shirley Temple. And I left basically, and that was it. But I mean, the mayor had said, like, on one of the mornings that, he had been at 6 parties that night. So, and, and I mean, you could see that a lot of the people that were there in attendance, they didn't look too good in the morning because they're very early starts to the day and very late evenings it runs into. So you could tell a lot of them were like, shaky or, hungover and whatnot. But
could I ask if the mayors, the 6 parties that he went to, were they all you can eat buffets? All 6 of them?
Well, I wouldn't know about that. I wouldn't know about that, but I do know that it was free food and drinks for the most part for pretty much every single party that was going on. And there were a lot of them around town. Absolutely.
And who was paying for the parties?
I would assume that it was mostly the vendors that were paying for it because, they want to have a good rapport with the CAOs, with the mayors, and with the councillors. So when they decide that they're going to come to council and request something, they've already built up, that friendly rapport with us.
Bribery, yes. I know what that is.
Yeah, some would call it bribery.
Well, I don't know. What else would one call it? Ed?
Yeah.
Do you have a thesaurus handy? Bribery, thievery, future thievery, calling in favors, seating the vote, grease in the palm. Ed, I think Ed froze. Yeah, he froze.
Yeah, no, he's back now. There he is.
Okay, there we are.
No, I didn't freeze. I'm just listening to this and I'm thinking, you know what? First thing, the half lies, the fact that they go after you for coming here on the taxpayer dollar, but neglect to say that everyone else came on the taxpayer dollar.
Exactly. Even her herself. It's like, really? And she was out, partaking at nighttime, having drinks and stuff. And it's like, no thanks. You know what? If I'm going to go for a drink or something, I'm going to pay for it myself, which is exactly what I did. I didn't even expense much in the way of food. One breakfast I expensed and that was it. I mean, everything else I paid for out of my own pocket because I didn't bother going to the parties because I don't need to go out and do that. I mean, God, I did that when I was 19, 20. It's like, oh, yay, free booze, open bar, get all excited. It's like, I'm an adult now. I don't need to partake in stuff like that as much as other people do. It just seems very...
She does.
It seems just very immature, in my opinion, where people have to take advantage of somebody else's generosity, and that's not me.
So the big thing about communism is all the politicians have very good lives. They have the best food. They drive the best cars. And it's all for your own good. Like they're trying to, the lie is that they're doing this for the greater good. Greater good of who? Themselves. They don't care about you. That's what I hate about communists. There's no integrity. All they think about is lying. How they're going to lie. How they're going to tell half lies, half truths. Meanwhile, they get rich off of the taxpayer. That's why I can't stand communists. That's why Antifa loathes me, because I'm telling the truth. Gee, isn't it that funny, Kevin? Is that the way it's supposed to be? Tell me.
Well, it should always be that weak individuals hate strong males. It should always be that way, because the weak are unfortunately right now trying to be in charge, and they're getting the funding to be in charge. And the propaganda of the weak will always stand in the way of those who can achieve great things. So these other city councilors, let's go through them very quickly here. Mayor Kevin Ass, Linda Cook, this maniac who likes to swear up a storm, Maurice Brenner, David Pickles. Oh, I sight that guy's head. I can't look at him. And I can't look at her either. Mara Nagy, the left-wing nut that was crying in that video. And the only Muslim guy who should hate this stuff, the LGBTQ stuff, but he doesn't. He's voting right along with it. Those are the people that are standing in the way of Pickering, the city of Pickering, an entire city, standing in the way of the city actually advancing, standing in the way of the citizens of Pickering be doing something with their lives. When you have leadership, and I put that in quotation marks, who are that weak that they all want to gang up on the one person who won't vote their way, then we know as a country we have screwed up immensely. It's nothing but weak. It's very weak men in charge. And what we've also said is, let's find the most psychotic, loudest, most pink-haired loser women out there, the most radical feminists that we can, and let's get them into public office so that there's always going to be turmoil and chaos. And that's all that we have in Canadian politics now, is turmoil and chaos. And then Lisa shoots off her mouth saying something that everybody with a brain in their heads and everybody with class will agree with. And the lefties, their minds explode. So Lisa, have they actually, when they're attacking you, and here's the question, and you get the microphone now for 5 minutes, you just go ahead and talk. But have they actually brought forward any points against you that are factual to out-argue you based on fact, or has it all been character attacks? Go.
Yeah, no, it's all been character attacks, and it's all been half truths and lies. That's all they have. That's really all they have. I mean, you could go right back to the very, very beginning when, I talked about my motions. My first motion was that, we should I was trying to bring a motion forward to only fly governmental flags on all governmental buildings. And of course, their lie to the integrity commissioner was that they actually said in their lie that I was transphobic and homophobic because I wanted to get rid of the pride flag. Nowhere in my motion did I even mention the pride flag. It was all flags. And see, that's the thing, is based on the 2015 Supreme Court law decision, is that, we as governments need to remain in a state of neutrality. Well, when you think about it that way, and this is why we actually got rid of the prayer, because it only took 2 people to get rid of the prayer in our council meetings, 2 emails actually. You would have thought that, flying all these different flags and creating a hierarchy is also not being neutral as a government. So if you're not flying any flags and you're only flying governmental flags, and of course the veterans flag, they seem to think that was a horrible thing. So they started saying that I was transphobic and homophobic because I believe in the state of neutrality, right? So that was a big lie that they said right there. And of course, the integrity commissioner still found that I had values or traits that were homophobic and transphobic, even though it was something that I never even said. Kind of like how they're going after me now for stuff that you're saying. And because I sit here and I smile because I am on camera, or because I nod pleasantly, that all of a sudden it's me speaking these words, which clearly it is not, because I mean, I've already condemned you for, well, you know, what I thought that some of the things that you said. And of course, they still say that I said it. So it's just another lie. The same with the bathrooms. Like, you know, I said every man, woman, boy, girl should have the right to either choose between using a biological bathroom or the choice, if they didn't want to use that, then they could use the universal change room, which is inclusive of all genders and or families. And that's exactly how I worded that part. And of course, in the Integrity Commissioner report, they said that I said that I wanted to get rid of the universal change room. And again, you know what? I'm transphobic and I'm homophobic. Again, that was just another lie. And then, you know, with the putting the age restrictions on the Pride events, on the drag queen story time, again, I'm transphobic and I'm homophobic because I don't believe that children should be subjected to nudity in our streets, or, you know, people dressed up with like dog collars on and like, you know, half naked, barking like dogs down the middle of the street while people whip them. You know, I'm sorry, that's not something that children should be privy to. I mean, that's what if they want to do that, like, you know, in their actual bars at night where, like, you know, you have to be over a certain age to get in. I mean, all the power to you. I mean, I've been to drag shows before and I've had some of my best nights watching drag shows, because that's what it is lewd adult entertainment, right? And that's what it is. But of course, like, you know, you go on with those lies, and you know, it's not the first time they've told lies about many things. You know, they had put up Christmas trees. Like, for example, I'm going to go into this one. They were put up Christmas trees in a recreation complex last year. And then somebody said, no, you got to take those down because we're not doing that this year. And so they started taking them down. But then I guess a lot of people had seen them up and they were like now getting upset with the city of Pickering and saying, like, you know, why are they taking down the trees? And they said, oh, you know what? It was just a mistake that they were taking it down, which again was a lie, because, like, you know, I have the emails to prove that they were not supposed to go up in the first place. They weren't going to celebrate Christmas in that respect, like, you know, with Christmas trees, let's say. Another thing that really bothers me that they lied about was not the previous drag queen story time that we had. I guess it was probably in June, but a year ago, June, there were some protesters outside. A few people were protesting. You know, a woman showed up in like a fairy costume and wanted to read, like, you know, Jack and Jill kind of stories to the children, and blowing bubbles and like doing art outside. And a couple of rough people showed up too. I wasn't there, but I did see it on video. There were about 4 or 5 people that showed up, all dressed in white with white masks. And they said that they were like alt-right, or they were, I can't remember the group that they were, but they did show up, but they didn't cause any havoc. But of course, the D-Day ceremony was then coming up, and we were outside at the Cenotaph doing the D-Day. And Councillor Brenner, who was the deputy mayor at that time, he got up and he started giving a speech, and then he started talking about, oh, and like, you know, we're going through all this havoc right now. And he started saying how there was a knife that these, like, you know, alt-right people had, and they were trying to get into City Hall and all of this stuff. Like, somebody brandished a knife, and, like, you know, then Councillor Nagy started saying, and I'm like, really? Because I didn't go to that drag show a year ago. I went to the previous one, but not that one. And she's like, oh yeah, it was bad. You know, they brandished a knife, this and that. So I went, wow, my God, like, you know, that's horrible. So, like, you know, I fell hook, line, and sinker into that, and thinking, like, how could, you know, people that I know or might have known who were going to be there, how could they do such a thing, right? Because it seems like it's out of their character. So the next day when I went into City Hall, I went straight up to the security desk and I said, could you tell me what happened last night? And they're like, what do you mean, Councillor Robinson? I'm like, oh my God, I said, I heard somebody had a knife and other people were trying to get into City Hall and it was horrible and police had to be there. And they're like, no, we didn't hear anything like that. I went, really? Nothing? And they're like, nope, we didn't hear anything. So then I was speaking with police officers and I said, oh my gosh, like, did something happen last night? And they're like, no reports were filed. I'm like, well, that's really interesting that my own counselors would be, spreading this misinformation. But I mean, you see it. You just see how they're just very, very divisive and the attacks that they're doing on everybody just because, we're not following their narrative. And, for 6 of them to gang up on me and say, like, I'm the horrible person and they're not getting anything done at City Hall. Well, I'd like to know what they're not getting done, because everything is getting passed that they want to get passed, because all the votes are like 6-1 for the most part. And I'm the one. So nothing I've wanted to pass has gone through, or that I've been like the deciding vote. That doesn't happen. It's always them against me, basically. So I don't know how work's not getting done. And even she said, oh, motions aren't getting through. Again, 6-1 votes. How are they not getting through? Because you guys are the majority. I'm the one. So it's not me. And then they're saying that work's just not getting done and we're wasting taxpayers' money. Well, I'd like to know how we're wasting taxpayers' money. Why? Because I ask a lot of questions at council, and we shouldn't be passing an agenda item until all the questions are answered. So many a times, we get the reports at council. We get them either the weekend in advance, or we get them a couple of weeks in advance, and we can go through and I read the reports, every single report I read. And from reading those reports, I'll go through them and I'll take questions. I'll pull questions out of the reports. So sometimes, I might have 16 questions. I might have 24 questions on one report to get the answers. And I'll ask my questions. And, I would have to say there's been times where I've asked 24 questions and I got one answer. And at that time, the report still gets passed by council, again, on a 6-1 vote. So, we're passing now agendas where we don't have any answers that I feel are very, very important, or at least they should be answered. So, the people, when they're listening to these questions, that they're getting the answers, but they're not getting the answers. So that means they're not being well informed of what's really happening in their city. And I find that very, very disturbing as well. And I mean, they don't like it. So what do? They just keep on attacking me. But how can they say work's not getting done? And not to mention, now they've also come out with the new narrative that, oh my goodness, it's so dangerous there. She has all of her supporters coming in from like out of town. So, we've had to increase security. And I'm like, okay, so not only have I had out-of-town supporters come in, but they have also called in out-of-town people as well to speak to agenda items, or even to things that are not on the agenda, especially when they wanted to attack me for, I wrote an op-ed about Black History Month and how, I wasn't in support of it. And, I quoted, some really high-profile people who also are Black and do not believe in Black History Month, or relegating their history down to 1 month. I think history should be Canadian history. And it doesn't matter what color your skin is, or your religious beliefs, or your sexual preference. History is history. And we should be teaching Canadian history, and it should be in our schools, and it should be all through the year. It shouldn't just be regulated down to 1 month. So they actually had a whole bunch of people from the Anti-Black Racism Task Force and these other Black communities who didn't live in Pickering come into our chambers just to sit there and belittle me and call me names while I had to sit there and take it. But yet then when people come in support of me, to tell them you guys are being dictators, you guys are putting all these communistic regulations in place in chambers, which is what they are doing to censor free speech, and from anyone from speaking for that matter, or recording in our chambers. They don't like it. So then they say that they have to increase security because of me. And I mean, everybody has probably had threats. I mean, I had threats right from the beginning when they started targeting me. And, you know, even the mayor, he was like, when they decided that they were going to put some plexiglass in and move some of the directors who had their backs to the people, they don't want to have the backs to the people anymore. So they put plexiglass in between the people in the back of the directors. They had said is for safety reasons. Well, the mayor had received an email from a friend. And this is kind of crazy because he got an email from a friend who was really unhappy with the mayor's behavior. And they've known each other for a very long time, since they were kids, basically. And the mayor had sent him a trespass order. Yes, he did. And then when I called him out on it, he was like, well, I'm not the one that sends out the trespass orders. It's like, well, you gave the email to the security personnel to write that trespass order. So, you know, it's all semantics, right? And this person, he was pretty upset about it. So he took his email to the police station and said, hey, do you find this to be a threatening email? And the police were like, no, this is not threatening. So, you know, it's just the lies. It's just like, you know, people that just embellish and then they embellish and they embellish and they just don't stop. And then, you know, you get a couple of, I'm going to call them alt-left supporters because they keep on saying all my supporters are alt-right. I don't like to call people names. And if you look on any of my social media posts, I don't call people transphobic, homophobic, racist, Nazis, like, you know, losers, lunatics. I don't do anything like that. So today will be the first time I'm going to say the alt-left because I'm pretty much, you know, what can I do anymore? You know, and then I have these people sitting there attacking me and attacking everyone who they think might be a supporter of mine. And the thing is like they say that they call it a bad thing if somebody's a supporter of Councillor Robinson. And the fact of the matter is, they don't know if these people are my supporters or not. A lot of these people just don't like the narrative that they're pushing. They don't like this agenda that they're putting in place. But just because of that, they're going to sit there and, like, you know, start calling them names. And I don't think that's right either. These are just concerned citizens who have concerned values, and they're not being heard. And instead, they're being demeaned.
You're right. Okay, so to the people who live in Pickering, I have to address them directly. Alt-right is a term that they're going to use to describe all of you. If you remember, Hillary Clinton pulled the same kind of nonsense when she realized that Trump was going to smoke her in debate and smoke her in the election. She began calling Trump supporters deplorables, which of course ramped up their support for Trump. What's happening here is this city council are calling all of you now alt-right. They're calling you the far right. That is a tactic that they're using to tell all of you that you are wrong to not listen to their agenda. Now, as far as I'm concerned, and Lisa, let me just remove you from the room. This is not your opinion. This is my opinion, everybody. When these creatures are supporting the radical leftist agenda, which is to have naked men be in a position to be naked in front of your children, I have a problem with this. That does not make me alt-right or far-right. That just makes me a regular, normal human being. We, Ed, as heterosexual males, I can tell you, we don't want anything to do with seeing naked women. I don't even want to see naked women under 30. I really don't. I can't imagine being in a room with a girl who's 6, who's not my child, and they're naked and I'm naked in this change room. To appease what and to achieve what? No, everybody in Pickering, the city council, except for Lisa, they're going to call you alt-right. They're going to try to guilt you into voting their way. They want you to vote for these pedophilic ideas and these ridiculously reprehensible far left ideologies, which have nothing to do with Canadian culture, and they have nothing to do with what their duty is. A mayor and a city councillor, they have really one job, and that is to make money for the city. Now, how is it that turning bathrooms into a place where naked perverted men and some women can go into to behave like degenerates, how does that make money for the city exactly? It costs a lot of money, but what they're doing is they're catering to people who do not pay tax, who do not own homes, who do not run businesses, who just cost and take and cost and take. City council, look, you have to throw people like that out of your city just because they're a drain on your resources. So Ed, say your piece, and then we're going to bring Lisa right back in.
You know, I want to give the city council the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're not far left lunatics.
Huh?
Well,
Huh?
okay, from what Lisa's told us, right? From what she's describing, these people they're off on some other planet. I don't know if they're on this planet, but they're off in their own little world. They're obviously delusional. They're making shit up. I'm seriously wondering if they're dropping acid.
Okay.
Like,
Well,
where are they getting this ideas from? They're just making this stuff up. Are they stoned? Like,
no,
they're so
they're not.
delusional. That's
No,
what I'm
they're
hearing.
not. No, they're not stoned. No, they are weak and they are perverse and they have the wrong idea. They think that they are in public office right now to be catered to by the people of Pickering, not to work for the people of Pickering. They are self-centered, childish, greedy, narcissistic, reprehensible, reprobates. I cannot stand these individuals. They are greedy. They want you and I to pay their way and get a pension for stealing from the public. Sorry, Lisa, you're back in.
I think they're dropping acid, Kevin.
Okay.
Really.
I
Well, can you
think that
explain the rhetoric? Second point. You ever heard the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names can never hurt me?
well, that used to be true. There was a day
No,
that
it's
actually
still-
was true.
It's still true.
Well, it's still true here. I get off on insults. I truly do. And Lisa, I think, is learning very quickly that insults are like they're empowering, man. They really are. If someone like this, Lisa, has gone to some gay dude that works for the city to write a speech to insult you and me 3 weeks after your first appearance on this show, then you got to her. You are way too intelligent for this individual. You're way too strong for this individual. You're prettier than her. But on top of that, you have charisma. You actually are approachable and likable, and she's not. None of them are. And that is why they try to silence you, is that they just have absolutely no idea how to get their ideas across. So all they're using is threats and insults. And that's all they're doing.
One more point, if I may. Can I? If you look at the caliber of the mayor and these councillors, this with Lisa being the exception, guys, any of us could run for office, do some door knocking. It's not even competition as far as I'm concerned. Get yourself in a public office.
Okay, Lisa, you're up.
Oh no, it's okay. Just I was going to go somewhere with that, but it's over now.
Oh, go for it.
All right.
No, I can't even remember what it was. No, it's okay.
Well, I'm talking about how greedy and reprehensible they are. But I'm also like,
Well,
I've been attacked by every media outlet in the country. And it's the same statements by all of them all of the time. They don't change it up. It's not like there's some creative wordplay that they use. It's racist mayoral candidate Kevin J. Johnston, homophobic, transphobic, Islamophobic. What else is there? That's the only 4 insults that they have. And they just keep repeating it. They're not even putting together word salads anymore. They're not even trying to sound intelligent. It's just an accusation and a complaint and nothing else.
yeah, it's a rinse and repeat without facts is what it is, really. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I've actually spoken to a couple of media outlets, and with the fact that the sexual abuse, the psychological abuse, that I have been going through, and the fact that one of our counselors said that he wants to decapitate the mayor. Well, he said decapitate the mother blanker. And, they're like, well, I'll take this to, my editor, and they'll come back to me and they'll say, yeah, you know what? My editor he doesn't want to deal with that right now. Right? Because of who these people are, right? Because they don't want to go against them. And that's pretty sad too, is because journalism just really isn't there anymore. I mean, we have a couple of journalists. There's one here at the Central newspaper. He prints I'll do an op-ed in there every single week for the most part. And the Central newspaper and he's amazing. You know, he'll actually publish it, and I mean, he's getting a lot of flack too for, you know, speaking, for allowing me to have a space where I can actually speak and put my, you know, thoughts down on paper and whatever. And people started attacking him, but like, you know, I'm very, very grateful for him. And, you know, there's been a couple of other media outlets that post a lot of my stuff as well. But some of them, you know what, they won't even touch it because they don't want to be truthful. You know, the Toronto Star here, you know, everything that they have to say was completely wrong. And I mean, I've stopped giving one-on-one interviews because I know what they do. They'll take little bits and pieces out of it and just post what they want to with like a completely different question. So now it's like I type things out and I send them my responses and I ask them to use them in their entirety. And then I'll get a response back saying that they can't use them in their entirety. And I say, okay, but you will use it word for the parts that you are using for the questions that you have asked of me. And so that's the only way that now I've started getting my voice, actually the truth being heard in some of these newspaper outlets who are not like, you know, Druthers or the Oshawa Central newspaper. So, yeah.
Well, you're also coming on this show, which you know that I'm not going to censor in any way. You know that I'm not going to take anything you say out of context.
No.
And we take
I'm
the show.
talking of newspaper print, not your podcast.
I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. But what I was going to say about the newspaper print is that they are watching the show.
Mm-hmm.
They are watching the Kevin J. Johnston show just to find things to complain about. That's what they do. They want to be made angry. You know, I think it's true. Nicole Blackman said, we are all addicted to things that we hate. And the left wing hates us, but they can't help but watch us. So I want to say thank you to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation for national coverage of the Kevin J. Johnston show, which they haven't done for a couple of years. No, thank you. I also did record the interview that I had with the little 23-year-old crybaby from CBC who interviewed me for about 45 minutes. Nothing I said made the article. Nothing. So I got to pull it off my phone and I got to get it up. Now the quality's bad, folks, but don't worry. You'll see the gist of what I'm saying here. Lisa, you got to get off on this stuff. You just have to enjoy it. Everybody who runs the media, especially at the CBC and CTV, they're not journalists. They're all far left or alt-left activists. Yeah. And I think the people of Pickering have caught on to that. I think a lot of Canadians have caught on to the fact that the government are all left-wing freaks and that the left-wing media are even more so. How many times can I remind Canadians that the first thing that Justin Trudeau did in Canada was legalize bestiality? Like, was that not an indication to Canadians that things were going to start to go downhill? And
he lowered the age of anal sex.
Yeah,
dropping the age.
He dropped the age of anal sex as well. Sorry for cutting you off, but you did. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I mean, if we were to ask any of these people that currently hold public office in the city of Pickering what they think about Justin Trudeau legalizing bestiality, what do you think their answers would be? You know, like, I just have this feeling that Kevin Nash should be running. Like, really? I didn't know that. And the fly would be undone instantly. That's what I think of these people. This is what they are portraying to all of us. I view them as disgusting creatures of the night. I do not view them as human beings at all, which is why their opinions of me mean nothing. Truly mean nothing. And I'm hoping that their opinions mean nothing to you as well, Lisa, because you're the boss. You are the one that's truthful and honest, and they don't like it because they can't argue it. Ed, what's up?
No,
I got a bunch of statements and questions. And well, let's just kick around some ideas here if we could. You mentioned that the meetings you were at this week, earlier this week, were from in Ottawa. It was the AMO, which is the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, which was formerly ICLEI. So I'm sure you've heard of that. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but they claim to not be government. So why? But they are an association, correct?
They're an association. They're not elected officials, but they are a non-for-profit, I believe, association. And they seem to have a lot of pull over what municipalities decide because we're always getting information from them and they want us to adopt what their principles are, or, what they're trying to push through legislation, let's say. Yeah.
Now, I don't know where they're getting their money from, but from what I'm hearing, I could assume that they are a worldwide not for profit, and they are writing and controlling Ontario's municipalities. Is that what you're saying, or am I getting the right idea here, or what?
Well, they'll give us like suggestions, let's say. Basically, it's like, with the Ontario big city mayors, you know what, they'll bring things down the pipeline, they'll send them off to us, and they'll ask us to adopt them into our procedures and bylaws, is what they'll do.
I have one question, Lisa, like before we continue. In this photograph here, this is Nagy. This is the one that gave that speech, Mara Nagy, city councilor.
Yeah.
If you look carefully in her nostrils, she's got a nose ring that Bowles used to wear, like in the 1800s. Does she still wear that now when she's in council?
Yeah, both her and Linda do. I think if you go back to Linda's picture, you'll see she also has one.
Her?
She wearing it there. She might not be wearing it there, but no, they both wear earrings.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
My God. No, what the hell is going on? Women used to dress like ladies. Women used to behave like ladies. Look at her. She goes to speak to the CBC about you and me, and she's wearing some disgusting outfit. She's not fit enough to wear an outfit like that. That's number one. But number two, she has a bull ring stuck here in her nose. What the hell have we become? That is not leadership. Leaders don't dress like this. Lisa, I got to say something here. This is something that I'm going to bring up now because there's a lot of people. No, you can listen.
Oh,
you can listen. I get criticized a lot, mostly by women, when I point out that there are select women and people out there in general who are morbidly obese and don't look the part of leadership. Now, they're saying, well, why do you got to be mean? Why do you got to picking on your appearance? It's because, everyone, when you got someone who doesn't care enough about themselves to keep themselves at least, I don't know, my size or smaller, that's a problem. When someone has zero self-respect, they cannot be a leader. They can't. So Kevin asks, let's go to him for a quick second here. This guy is so out of shape that he is unable to even keep his eyelids open. Look, watch the interview when he was complaining about me and Lisa here. He couldn't keep his eyelids open. He couldn't keep his head up. He is so out of shape that he can't present. He's like, that's not what leaders do.
Thanks for making my argument. He's on acid. Could be.
Well, or he's just so laden with sugar. Maybe 50% of his blood is sugar. I'm just trying to make the point here that if you're going to be standing up on pedestals wearing suits and ties, you got to at least look good in the suit and tie, because the average person will be looking up to leaders for some type of inspiration to be better themselves. But our leaders look like this and like this, or, worse, they dress like this with rings in their noses. This is gross. No, we need to have a sense of shame in our society. And this person here has none. She is very eager to brag to the world about how ridiculous she is as a person. I'm not going to say woman because she's not. As a person, she wants us to know, I like the idea of naked men in front of children. I despise the Canadian way of doing things. I cannot beat Lisa here in a debate, so I want you to put a new law in place to remove her from office because she's prettier than me. That is what we have going on here. So I'm going to be very critical of those who are morbidly obese in these positions. It's the wrong message to send.
You're right. I mean, I don't know what her thoughts and feelings are about my looks or whatnot, but I can tell you, what, there's some people out there that, do not support me. And the first thing they do is they sit there and they criticize my appearance. Like, there was somebody like on Canada Day who said that, oh my God, I don't like Councillor Robinson. I mean, look at her. She looks like she just walked out of Hollywood and like she's afraid to get dirty. Really? Because I show up and I present myself
I get that all the time, Lisa. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Oh, goodness gracious me.
right? But it's like, it's you don't like me because of my looks, and then you get other people, oh my god, her voice is so nauseating, and this is the way that they talk, right? And it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, whatever. What is that?
There's our good friend Stefanos Karatopoulos. We miss dude, I miss you on the show, man. I miss having you on the show. But he's saying, no, not a suggestion. The MOU they have with the province and the federal government forced the province to take orders from the AMO. Oh, boy.
MOU is a memorandum of understanding. Now, the province and federal government are paying these guys. They're paying this NGO to I don't know how they're going to coerce you guys, but I'm sure there's meetings that are being held. Maybe some money is trading hands. Maybe some bottles of scotch are shifting around, flight tickets, game tickets. This is how these guys operate.
Well, you know what? There are a lot of game tickets and stuff like that do go around, and you know what? There's a lot of tricks with that too. So if they're not, when you have to file a statement of disclosure, if you're taking the tickets yourself, then you have to claim them. But there's nothing saying that they can't give you the tickets and you pass it off to a family member.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So all of a sudden you see family members taking cruises constantly, or going on trips, or going to these games and stuff like that. And you're wondering, how do they pay you to do that? Right? It's like, on their salary. And then, you start seeing what is really, really happening, or the free golf games,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, Mitch is asking why Stefanos has not been on the show lately. It's because Mitch, he refused to wear the yellow bikini that I like seeing him in. As a result, until he chooses to do so, he's fired. Okay, so that's what's going on.
He's busy as hell. That's why he's not on the show.
He's helping a lot of people with his with legal problems, and he's doing a great job doing it. So when he comes back, you'll all be the first to know, I'm sure. Ed, yeah, what's up?
Okay, so check out this next comment. The very fact that the AMO gets funded by our government makes them an agent of the Crown, and the Constitution applies to them. This has been set in stone by the courts. NPAC versus Smith. So we've got a little bit of homework to do, guys.
I'm just screenshotting that so I can look into that. NPAC v. Smith. Okay.
Stefanos is a dangerous guy. He actually knows the way government is supposed to work in a free and democratic society.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Now, this is why the left can't stand him, because he knows how it's supposed to work. And if we do things properly, the left is, what are they going to do besides cry and drop acid?
Yeah. Sorry, it was NPCA. Not NMAC. There you go. So that's the correct one. Lisa, you got it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. And I think Stefanos just private messaged me there. Stefanos, did you just agree to wear that bikini? Because if so, come on. We're dying to see it. You're missed greatly by all of us, the fans and the crew alike.
I don't want to see Stefanos in a yellow bikini. I don't want to see him in a bikini at all.
Yes, you do.
Period.
Yes, you do. Oh, wait. Oh, well, yeah, and there it is. He's putting it on. Okay. Oh boy.
I'm not coming on the show for a long time now.
Oh, and Mitch is asking with the sailor's hat, by the way. There we go.
So much for being a family friendly show, eh?
Well, I don't know. He'd be covering up, unlike most of the freaks downtown. But Lisa, we got to let's go back to Ottawa now. When you gave this amazing speech in Ottawa, rumor has it. This is rumor, and you don't have to tell us anything here if you don't want to. But this guy, Mayor Kevin Ass, and all 500 pounds of Marinagi decided to get a little intoxicated, a little bit, and stumbled around Ottawa like a couple of fools. Do you have any commentary on that? Did that actually happen?
I don't really have any commentary on that. I mean, I'm not their keepers, and I don't want to spread rumors of what they were or were not doing. But I mean, Kevin Ash did say himself, I mean, Mayor Ash did say himself that he was at 6 parties one night. And I know that Mara had said in the morning when we were getting ready to meet one of the ministers that she was feeling a little rough in the morning. You know, you can see it on people's faces. You can see the way they behave. You can see, like, you know, how they're shaking in the morning, basically. So I did witness stuff like that.
Well,
But I
I know
mean,
it's
like I said, I wasn't at the parties. You know what? I spent my time wisely when I was there. You know, I went and I toured the Parliament buildings. Like, you know, I went to West Block. I went in and I actually visited the House of Commons. You know, I had a great time, just, like, you know, doing a tour basically of the parliamentary buildings, and, like, you know, going to CPAC and doing my speech, and, you know, going into the oh my goodness, what is it called now? The room where they have all of everyone who had all the fallen soldiers in there, the remembrance room. And it was one of the most incredible things that I've ever said. I know I'm going off topic, but it's a round room that you go into, and it's got cutouts on the ceiling, and it's all black with, like, white lights. So it almost looks like stars shining. And they had all of these tables set up there in a circle. So you'd walk around in a circle with the glass casing over it. And they had all the books in there, and it had all of the names of everybody who had fought for our country and who had died. And, you know, even like the War of 1812, there was a book of 1812 right there as well. And I didn't know this, but apparently every day somebody goes in there and changes a page on each of the books. So every day there's new names that are on the page. And then if you have any ancestors, family members, you know, someone that you know who fought in the war and lost their lives for our great country, you could actually request to have a copy of that page, and they will send it to you. So, you know, that was a very emotional time. But that's how I spend my time in Ottawa, not going out to parties for free food and free drinks.
Yeah. And I've watched a lot of politicians grab themselves a lot of free food and free drinks. Yeah. Just to give you an idea of how greedy they can be, I was at one of these Mississauga, a small party in the city of Mississauga, my hometown, to the west of Toronto. Oh, again, very expensive meals. They had crab out on the table, and they had steak out on the table. They had all this stuff. And I'm thinking it was probably the better part of about $40 that the taxpayers had to pay to feed all these pigs that were in there behaving like pigs. And then they had a fruit tray and whatnot. And I watched Mississauga councillor Ron Starr goes, "Oh, hey, check this out." And he's got this pouch. It's like a purse. It's sitting on his hip. And he opens it up and he grabs oranges and some fruit, apples. He filled the pouch and zipped it up the door. What the hell? And I was told, because I was finishing off I had a cup of coffee. That's all they gave me was a black cup of coffee in a styrofoam cup. And they wouldn't let me leave the building with that because they said, well, it paints the wrong picture. Like, Star just stole fruit. I guess because it was in a bag, right?
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
Yeah, imagine being told you cannot leave a small house. It's in Streetsville, Mississauga, Central Streetsville. You can't leave this little house thing with a cup of coffee because it's the wrong optics.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, so they started disallowing me to all of these public functions, and eventually I was no longer even allowed to go to the what do you call it? The Legion halls, because apparently I tell too many secrets about bad people, it would seem.
Right.
Yeah. So interesting to be a journalist who can't go anywhere. That's how it is. They want to hide everything. So it's all the city councilors in Ontario that I know of. They're all just taking. And that's the same thing going on where you are, Lisa. And you're the only one not taking. In fact, you're not even getting a salary anymore, which is absolutely ridiculous. So,
no, I have my salary back now. For how long, I don't know, until they decide they want to come after me again with another integrity commissioner report. I'm assuming.
Oh, they will.
But I just want to go back for a second to what you said, is that there are other counselors that are like me out there, and they are reaching out to me. I actually met up with some of them while we were in Ottawa, and I do get a lot of emails, texts, phone calls from other counselors around. So it's good. So, we're starting to talk, and they're seeing how strong I'm fighting back. And so they said that I'm, inspiring them, which is really, really nice. I have a lot of people call me up and say that I'm inspiring them to, to start having a voice and start speaking out. And, I'm also inspiring people who can't speak up, but they're starting to find their voice. And they know that once they do speak up, they're going to go through the exact same thing that I'm going through. So it's a reason why a lot of people don't speak up, is because they're going to be ridiculed. People are going to go after their jobs. They're going to try and get them fired. And it's really a shame that, we've gotten to this part of society where, you can't even agree to disagree anymore. It's like, it's just attack. You should be able to say, hey, you know what, like you and I did, Kevin, like, I said, I didn't condone some things that you said on your show. And it's like, but here I am again, we're having a conversation, and it's okay. We don't always have to agree, but you know what? Get out of the sandbox and start acting like adults. You can have these tough conversations. You don't have to hate each other. And, it's even, I'm going to say what's kind of funny, but it's not funny. It's actually really, really sad, is that when somebody doesn't like you, or, if they've done you wrong, they no longer want to have a conversation with you. So like, when these counselors first put in the integrity commissioner's report, I didn't know about it, but I knew something was up because I walked in the room and it was like, they're looking in the other direction. They're ignoring me. They're not talking to me. And, that's a sign. It's like, if you owe somebody money and you can't afford to pay them back, what do most people do? What's human nature is either to get into an argument with them so you don't have to pay them back, or you ignore them. Right. And it's the same with this. Now, there's one thing I do have to say about the mayor, which does impress me, is that when we are out in public, like when we were at the AMO, I'd walk up and he would say, "Good morning, counselor." And we would have like, a little bit of an idle conversation going back and forth. If we were talking about the minister that we're going in to see, we could have that conversation. As for, Counselor Butt would also say hello to me. But, then when it came to, Counselor Pickles and Counselor Nagy, absolutely nothing. I could be standing there and they walk into the room and they couldn't even say hello to me. It's like, so again, what kind of leaders behave like that in public? As much as like, I've been sexually harassed, psychologically harassed, and like, vilified, yelled at, this and that, I can still hold my head up high in a room, see my colleagues, and, put on, hold my head up high and say, good morning, good afternoon. I don't have to sit there and like, talk about the weather or anything, but when I see them, I'm very cordial and I will say hello or good morning. Or, if they sneeze, and I'll say like, bless you type thing. Right. But I'm not dealing with people like this. They just want to ignore you and look the other way. I mean, Christ, they crop me out of photos. They've cropped me out of photos when I'm at events. Talk about
Stalin did that too. He cut Trotsky out of photographs. Yeah. How petty is that? What an insecure idiot. Stalin cropped Trotsky out of photographs. My God.
That is immature, isn't it? Like, I can literally say that is childish.
You know what reminds me of, Lisa? When I would go to a girlfriend's place and I would look and there would be a photograph lying down like this, and I'd look at it. Oh, that's me. So she's mad at me. Slam. It's so ridiculous.
Right?
That's exactly what's going on.
True.
Yeah. But everybody, hold on. I got a quick commercial here. Hey, everyone. You might have heard of this amazing gal named Lisa Robinson. She's a Pickering City Councilor. She has a Give, Send, Go page, which is givesendgo.com/GB9DP. Remember, this lady had her salary pulled from her because she was fighting for the safety of your children and the right for all of you to know where your tax dollars are going. So please head on over to givesendgo.com/GB9DP. No matter where you are in the world, you can donate to Lisa so that she can pay her bills, because believe me, they're trying very hard, Lisa, to make sure that you can't, just because you're the best politician in Ontario right now. There you go.
Actually, any money that goes into that account,
Mhm.
I will not be taking care of directly. It's actually going to my lawyer bills, because I am in the middle of a judicial review, and it's going to cost quite a bit in lawyers' fees to get my $15,000 of the salary that I lost back, and then some. But the funny thing is I don't know if I told you or not, but the city of Pickering has allocated up to $200,000. Get this, $200,000 of the taxpayers' money to fight me in court, instead of just giving me back the $15,000 of the salary they took from me.
I think it was more a matter of 200,000. No, Lisa, $200,000 went into chocolate bars for Nagy, for Mayor Nagy. I think that's what happened, and for potato chips for the mayor. You're right though. It is ridiculous that they will spend tax dollars, not their money, tax dollars to fight you. Yes, Eddie, what's up?
$200,000, insane.
Maybe the price of acid's gotten really expensive, which is why they got to add that money to the budget.
Okay, you gotta get off the acid stuff, Eddie.
They're delusional.
Lisa,
Yes.
Bonnie Crombie, Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie,
Yep.
when she was mayor, spent $2 million of taxpayers' money just to piss me off. Yeah, that's how much she spent to hurt me. Private investigators, thugs, overtime for staff to go and steal my signs and make a mess of my property. Yeah, like the city of Mississauga, I caught them doing it. They would bring garbage and throw garbage from their truck onto my property, not remove it from the property. Bonnie Crombie spent a lot of money because I made her look stupid in one debate.
Yeah.
Now I made her look really stupid, but it doesn't. She does that on her own. I'm just trying to get that you are like, welcome to the club. But why are the taxpayers out there not enraged by this?
They should be.
Enraged.
Enraged. It should be like, just give her back her damn money and save our money. Like, why are they doing this? And, they're not just using let's say, I'm not going to diss paralegals because, I have my paralegal license, but why are they using these high-end law firms to go against little old me, right? And spending up to $200,000. I mean, even if you wanted to fight me, if it was just a case of to be a jerk or whatever it is, why are you hiring the best of the best? Why do you need to do that for this? You don't need to. You can get any lawyer. You don't have to get one that's costs $500 an hour or, whatever it is that they're spending, but you don't need a top end lawyer. I'm sure if they were doing it, if it was their own personal money, do you think any one of these guys would be spending up to $200,000 if it was their money and they were fighting me for $15,000?
They wouldn't spend a dime about it. They would just cry.
Like, here's your $15,000, Lisa, or they wouldn't have done it in the first place, right? They wouldn't do it. But because it's not their money, they're doing it.
Of course. But who's the lawyer that they hired?
Off the top of my head, I cannot remember because my lawyer's taking care of that.
Could you send that to me? Because I'd like to see how many complaints they've had to the Law Society. I'd like to do some research into who that lawyer is. I'll tell you why, Lisa. It's because I hate lawyers. But here's something to remember. I always look at every single human being out there as what is their value should all of society collapse. Electricity's out, water pumps are out, flush toilets don't work, no electricity. What value does a person have? Like car mechanics, way through the roof. Doctors, way through the roof. Electricians, like anybody who can get a generator moving on running water, all valuable. But what would a lawyer bring to the table?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Lawyers have nothing to offer the world at all, except for playing games in the silly little sandbox, which is the court system. That's why I despise lawyers. They serve no purpose at all. Ed, go ahead.
How about flat roofers?
I think a flat roofer would be quite useful in a decaying society.
Thank you.
It'll keep the raccoons out. And the rain and the snow and the cold.
So back to the AMO, this not-for-profit, worldwide not-for-profit pushing this communist agenda on us. Why does our provincial and federal governments give tax dollars to them to come down and bully you guys into doing what they want? Does anyone ask that question?
No, I don't think that those weren't the type of questions that were being asked of the panels, unfortunately. Like, there were no really tough questions that were being answered, unfortunately.
Can we ask next year?
You know what, Ed?
Yeah, right.
Remember we talked about this. For some reason in Canada, nobody asks tough questions. So I want to maybe step back a bit here. When Andrew Scheer was just newly appointed the leader of the Conservative Party, he always had this goofy look on his face. He looked like a goof all the time. So when he's being interviewed at a private golf club in the city of Oakville, Ontario. And you can hear like people are clinging plates and whatnot. They had all you can eat chicken cacciatore. Okay, cool. Thank you for the meal. Now they're saying, well, we should sit down here and get to know the next prime minister. We're going to have some rapid fire questions here. What do you prefer, Coke or Pepsi? McDonald's or Tim Hortons? Yeah, Star Wars or Star Trek? This is literally what he was being asked.
Yeah.
Not what's your economic policy for the future? What are you going to do about unfettered immigration? What are you going to do about the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and their corruption? Will you stop the Royal Canadian Mounted Police from kidnapping children in British Columbia and driving them to Prince Rupert where they get shipped to China to be sold as sex slaves? Will you stop these things? None of that. Star Wars, Star Trek, coffee, food. That's what they were talking about. Pathetic. Canada, reap what you sow. Really, reap what you sow. When you behave that foolishly, this is what you get. You're not holding anyone to account because you're not even holding yourselves to account. How dare you? How dare you have potentially the next prime minister in your grasp in front of 1,000 people and ask questions about coffee and Star Trek?
Yeah.
Like Canada is the most immature country in the world, it seems.
Did he have
Everybody wants
nice
to
hair?
ask these questions. Huh?
Did he have nice hair?
No, he looked like a goof. No, he's not attractive in any way. I mean, no, the ladies didn't even like him. A lot of politicians who elevate to leadership roles have chicks fawning over them. Nobody was fawning over this guy. Nobody. And what was the other one? Aaron O'Toole, even worse. He'd watch women run. So,
Yeah.
no sex appeal, no charisma, no nothing.
I got a question we could have asked him. Finish your rant. At the AMO, why is a foreign not-for-profit or charity shaping our democracy in municipalities when clearly our democracy and constitutional rights being stripped from us by denying people to speak at council meetings and silencing councillors who represent the people because groups like Antifa and Communist Party and the 3R party groups got them elected and to push their own views? You want me to say that one again? Maybe we should ask that one of the mayor at your next council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we follow the rules of the way Canadians do things, we'll be asking the mayor, do you prefer McDonald's or Wendy's? Like that's the kind of questions he's going to get. He'll probably say both and then realize, I'm hungry, and go buy 12 burgers from each place. I'm getting at, guys, we the people are not holding our politicians to account at all. You got to stop asking soft questions. You got to raise your voice and go to a stricter tone when they decide that they want to try to shut you down. If they're not going to talk to you in city council chambers, go to their homes, ring the doorbell. And if you're looking for a legal way to ring the mayor's doorbell, then just notarize a letter that is a legal warning of some type and stand on his front porch and ring the bell all night. That's legal. I used to do that as a process server. I would go to people's houses, especially people that work for the city of Mississauga. When bylaw officers would get on my nerves, Lisa, I would find where they lived and go ring their doorbells from 1 o'clock in the morning onward until they would take the piece of paper I wanted to serve them. And they would call the cops, and the cops would show up, and I'd say, hey, guys, I'm acting as an agent of the court. I got to serve this document, and they can't interfere. So that's how you can legally go to the mayor's house, everyone. Notarize a demand. and ring the crap out of his doorbell. These people do not deserve privacy. And I know as Canadians, we're going to say stupid things like, well, they should have some privacy too. We should leave them alone. No, they chose this. They put their names in to run for public office. They either won or were most likely appointed. And now they are responsible to we the people. So we the people, when we cannot get answers in the public forum that we pay for, we go to their private residences to get the answers there. That's how you got to do it. Lisa may not agree with that, but I'm going to state that whenever we started playing hockey games in front of Doug Ford's house, at least he was paying attention to a little bit of what we had to say. He was afraid. He was worried. He always had about 30 cops standing on his front lawn. Those cops could have been out there rescuing people, actually doing their job instead of standing around drinking coffee, but that's the world we live in.
You do realize it was Doug Ford's idea. He himself said local neighborhood streets are for playing hockey, road hockey. And that's where we got the idea to go set up hockey nets and play road hockey in front of his house. It was his idea. And then then he calls us yahoos.
Did he really? He called you yahoos?
Yeah, he called us yahoos.
Sorry. What's with all this name calling from adults? I just don't get it. I don't get it. Why name call?
Because maybe he didn't, maybe he was picked on a lot as a kid. And he didn't understand the concept of sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but names will never hurt me.
Right.
So I got a question to ask. Why are municipalities pushing and creating safe injection sites that go against the Criminal Code of Canada and are aiding and abetting in a commission of a crime when the Municipal Act strictly forbids a municipality from interfering with provincial and federal legislation or an instrument of the Crown? Ask that to your Mayor Ash. And then give him a fresh diaper. And finally, like seriously, when you think about it, and finally, what does the United Nations have to do with elected municipal officials' pension plan? This is a foreign interference and treason by its definition in the Criminal Code of Canada. Do you want to go to the website?
Well, yeah, sure. Call the website up if you want to. But I mean, what is the point of all this? And I'm pretty sure that, actually, Ed, let me just make this comment. And Lisa, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. These are extremely important issues that Ed's bringing up. Are these, Lisa, being discussed at city council meetings at all?
No, not at all. I mean, we started discussing was it the big city mayors, or was it AMO were thinking about bringing these hubs to Durham for the homeless and that. And again, I tried to ask a lot of questions because I wanted to know if these hubs for the homeless, if they were going to be like safe injection sites, if there was going to be nurses there, if there was going to be food, if there was going to be shower facilities, are they going to be able to sleep at these hubs? And I think I said, would there even be doctors there? And I was asking all these questions, and again, none of the questions could be answered, but they went ahead and passed it on the agenda anyways. And one of the other important questions that I really, really asked, that it was really, really important, was that if there is a nurse or a doctor in these hubs, would they be able to decide or give the recommendation that somebody would be able to use MAID, which is your medically assisted in dying? And of course, again, there was no answer to that. And I mean, that's something really, really important to note. And that's because, if we do start getting these hubs in, I mean, homeless people are extremely vulnerable. You know what? They might not have any families. They're down on their luck. They're not feeling good. Somebody all of a sudden, they have mental health problems. All of a sudden, somebody says, hey, you know what? I can make your life better. Here, you know what? Go kill yourself. And they'll be like, yeah, okay, you know what? I don't have any family. No one cares for me. Look what I'm doing. I can't live off the streets anymore. And they're going to be able to just instead of helping them and getting them the help that they need, or the transitional housing, or getting them, medical attention to help them get off of substance abuse and that. But instead, no, we're just abling people. Here, go kill yourself. Here, have some more drugs, but don't worry about it. Do it at a safe place. So then if anything does happen to you, we got the Narcan kit sitting right there. And rinse and repeat, keep on doing it over and over and over again. And it's these are the important questions that we need to figure out before we start moving forward on any of this. But we're just not doing it. My council is passing again 6-1 without having these hard questions answered that I bring up. And I find it's extremely disheartening, and it's scary. It's scary what's happening with all of this. And it needs to stop. And we need to have, common sense by common people have to be put in these positions and have all of these questions answered, all of the I's dotted, all of the T's crossed before we even make these kind of decisions. But sitting there rubber stamping them and being yes nodders and just passing it on to the next level. And then all of a sudden it goes to the next level. Well, guess what? That next level is all of a sudden we've just endorsed as a municipality to go to the province or wherever it needs to go and saying, yeah, we agree with this. Go ahead, bring it on in, debate it. But you know what? We're all for it. And then all of a sudden, it says that we're supporting this when really, what are we supporting? We're supporting something that we don't even know what's in the fine print. We don't even know what's coming down the pipeline. And in my opinion, it's
don't think they read it. I really do. I don't think they look. These are 3 members of the city council of Pickering. All right. You can tell here that David Pickles, obviously he had some makeup artists come in and spend 23 and a half hours making him look like this, when in reality, he presents himself like this. And then there's that Nagy, there's the left wing individual there in the middle. Hold on, Lisa, let me toss you out of here for a second. Who presents themselves like this? Who's in leadership? Ed, I mean, if I was to look at this individual here, the first thing that I'm going to think is that this is a far left Antifa maniac, somebody who supports the pedophilic lifestyles out there, someone who supports the destruction of the Western world. This is probably someone who says patriarchy, fight the patriarchy, and so on. Look at her. You can't be taken seriously when you dress like this. What's in her hair? What is that? It's hair extensions of some type. What's with the pants? And why does it look like she has male genitalia in this particular image? I'm floored at how gross this person presents themselves. And then the 2 men on either side with the sloppy hairdos, they don't even comb their hair. When people decide to present like this, they can't be taken seriously. And when I can't take a city council or a mayor seriously, then I would not be investing. If I was someone had $25 million to invest, I wouldn't do it in Pickering if those were the people that were going to be in charge of the money or in charge of the permits or in charge of anything to do with my investments. So sorry, Lisa, just we can't have you be part of my opinions. They're my opinions, everyone, especially you, Mayor Ass. What I say is on me. Stop. You know what? Stop shouting at a woman that's 1/20th your body weight. What is the matter with you? Why don't you shout at me? Wouldn't that be amazing? Could you imagine me and this guy in the same room alone? Do you think for an instant anyone, go ahead and put it in the comments, would this guy raise his voice to me? Does anybody think this guy would even consider going, and even doing that? He'll do it to you, Lisa, but he would never do it to me. Or any man.
He does it to most of the women. I mean, that's not me spreading rumors or anything else. I mean, if you watch any of our council meetings where he's been yelling at people, it's been all women. It hasn't been against one man. It's been against
women,
including myself.
Loser.
But I do got to say, when I was at the AMO building, it was so cold in Ottawa, and I packed all dresses and suits. I was so cold that I actually had to wear my blue jeans and my Doc Martens with a blazer, of course, though, because I always have to support my Canadian flag and whatnot. And even when I did the press conference, I was wearing blue jeans with ripped rip patches in the legs with my Doc Martens because it was so cold there. I had no choice. I could not wear what
It's
I
so
normally
cold in
wear.
Ottawa. That's why I stopped wearing dresses, Lisa. So
Yeah.
I feel
It was
Yes,
so cold there. I mean, but it was like, I was at a conference, so hey, it's
hey, why not? Ed, what was your question there, bud?
Can you put the picture of the mayor up again?
Oh, Kevin asks. Yeah, here you go.
Why is there no crease in his tie?
No, is it a clip-on? I don't know. What's the point of the question? Sorry.
Yeah.
It's easy to dress as a man. All you gotta do is put a little crease in your tie, and it's a proper tie. Like, duh.
Okay,
I'm a flat
I don't
roofer. Even I know that.
Are you talking Windsor knots? Because I don't tie Windsor knots. I tie the small knots when I tie mine.
Any knot, you put a crease in it. That's a proper tie. It's got to have a crease in the middle. Anyways,
Okay.
you want to look at Mayor Ash's how they've got him hooked and tied in?
Oh,
Shall
sure.
we
Yeah,
look
go
at
ahead.
this
What do you got?
document?
What do you got? What do you got? What is this?
All right. This is a pension primer.
You got to zoom out just a little bit. Top middle. Top middle. Top
there
middle.
it is. Come on. There we go. August 2021. Union of BC Municipalities. All rights reserved. Any use of production must credit. Union of BC Municipalities, Suite 60, 1051, Shelbridge Way, Richmond, BC. WCX 2W9.
Okay, yeah, fair
it.
use. Fair use. We quote fair use law. There you go. And besides, they can sue me if they want. Continue.
Thanks to the following organization that identified and supplied the principal source information: Municipal Pension Board, MPP, British Columbia Investment Management Corporation, BCI. Getting started, the top 10 abbreviations. Purpose of the Municipal Pension Plan. Purpose of this updated and revised primer. Municipal Pension Plan in brief. Planned governments. Responsible investing. BCI's MPP's progress as a responsible investor. Fossil fuel investment in the energy sector. Shall we dig into this? Message from the UBCM president. On behalf of the Union of BC Municipalities, I am pleased to convey this updated primer on climate action and the municipal pension plan. So now they're tying pension plans to climate action. The report has been prepared at the direction of the UCBM executive following the referral of a resolution of the 2020 convention. The resolution sought information on fossil fuel related investments held by the MPP and the anticipated effects of a plan to divest those assets. A primer goes considerably beyond the scope of the request to provide a range for the MPP's fossil fuel related investments over multiple years, as well as information on matters of governance and investment management pertaining to divestment. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh no, please don't say blah, blah, blah. I can't handle that.
All right. So, Eddie, what's your conclusion on that?
I've just started reading this just now. It was sent to me by someone's very, very special. In our last primer, we also called for a climate action plan for the municipal pension plan. This has now been developed and is being implemented. However, much has changed since 2016. So in this report, we will highlight UBCM's climate action leadership in conjunction with the MPP and the BC Investment Management Corporation. Primer provides an overview of the importance of the municipal pension plan and the governance structure in place, including the fiduciary duty of the Board of Trustees. We provide an overview of the plan, design, and service providers. The primer reveals the importance of investments in the pension plan and references that about 75 cents of every pension dollar comes from investment returns. Chapter 7 delves into the MPP's progress as a responsible investor. I would refer your attention to Chapter 8, where the report provides a breakdown of the MPP's energy-related investments as a percentage of the total portfolio, as well as a breakdown of energy investments in each asset class. Also in Chapter 8, Primer affirms the preferred approach of engagement compared to a divestment approach. The final chapter sets out future actions of UBCM as we continue to build on the government's policies and priorities in the municipal pension plan.
Okay, Ed, let me cut you off on that for a second here. So what you're saying there is the pension plan is based on the profits that come in from investment, from private corporations. And then we got to ask ourselves, why are we chasing away private investment? And Lisa, you've got a city council there that's chasing away private investment in the city of Pickering. So who's going to fund the pension plans if they're not able to pull from that market? Now, Ed, here's an interesting point that people don't know. 2014, the Canada Revenue Agency brought in $282 billion from personal income tax, but only $90 billion from corporate income tax. Corporate tax, that's it. So that means the corporations are leaving. And if they're counting on that type of tax revenue and that type of investment revenue to fund the pension plans, guess what's going to happen, everybody, in 5 years? There won't be a pension plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lisa, I got to turn this back to you. We only got about 10 minutes to go here. Investment in Pickering, is it actually happening from outside sources? Please go ahead.
It is happening. You know, we're getting a lot of people like FGF Foods. We're getting a new Amazon warehouse that's coming in right now as well. So we do have a lot of it coming in. But apparently in Marinagi's speech, though, apparently I'm chasing away developers. It's kind of weird what she said, that they're afraid to invest in Pickering. She said that in her speech, which again was a lie. I would love to see the proof on that one, where they've actually said we're not coming to Pickering because of Councillor Robinson. It just doesn't make sense. But no, I mean, Pickering is growing, and it's growing quite quickly right now. And yeah, we're starting to get a lot of people investing in there. But I mean, we just lost Bad Boys as well, right? They came in and then they're out, and I don't know why they decided not to. Porsche also just came on board as well, because we have the casino here in Pickering, and Porsche just came in where they're doing a racetrack here in Pickering. So that's very, very exciting, to the tune of about $74 million, I think, that they brought in, which again, we got to break our own policies and procedures and bylaws because they're bringing in so much money that we can circumvent our street naming policy because of it without following our own guidelines. But of course, I asked, would the same thing be able to be done with Ford, let's say, or Volkswagen? And they said, well, only if they're willing to spend, $74 million. So, but Porsche, they're allowed to break the rules in Pickering. So pretty interesting stuff. But no, we're getting some really good investments coming to Pickering, which is great.
I suppose, though, that I would be concerned, especially as a Pickering citizen, that particular city council is the face of the city, considering now what they've done is they've taken focus away from what they should be doing. And that's selling the city. Come to Pickering because we've got this and that and this and that, and our sewer systems are brand new and our water pipes are brand new. There's no copper in the lines anymore. We don't, like, whatever. They should be selling it in some way. But instead, they're making themselves look like fools on the international scale. And on top of all that, they actually are going to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation and making themselves look even more foolish nationally and internationally. Mm-hmm. They're so hung up on what you had to say. Yeah. And they're so hung up on the fact that I moved to Panama. They say I fled Canada. No, I moved to where the money is. There's no money in Canada for a guy like me, but there's lots of money here. They are focused on us, the two of us, as opposed to selling the city to more investors. So this is what actually chases them away. Maybe Bad Boy left because of city council. Maybe Bad Boy saw the show and realized, oh, these people are sickos. We don't want to invest here. That could be the case.
Yeah, I mean, they were elected to run the city. We were all elected to run the city, but they seem to think that they were elected to control everything that I say and do, or to make a point of letting everyone know everything that I say or do because I'm opposing them. It's like, it's like I don't know what it is. I don't know why they think, I mean, all of us are just one vote. I don't know why they're so concerned and so worried about what I'm saying or doing, because I'm working for my constituents. It was like, the mayor could have stopped all of this from the very, very beginning when I was bringing those 3 motions forward. And, the 3 counselors went behind my back with these lies to the integrity commissioner. It was the mayor that told me what was happening in the first place. And I mean, he could have stopped it right then and there. He could have put his foot down and said, why are you going to the integrity commissioner? We've never gone to the integrity commissioner for anything like this before. And I mean, there's been fraud that's happened in, past councils and all kinds of nasty stuff that has gone on. But why choose me to make an example when I haven't done any fraud or anything like that for trying to bring motions forward for my constituents? So the mayor could have been a leader and could have put a stop to it right then and there, but he chose not to. Why?
And that's the problem with beta males, Lisa. Weak men.
Problem is, why did he choose not to? Because himself, he's vindictive. Because again, I called him out during COVID when I wasn't even a counselor for traveling during COVID while he was telling everybody else to stay home. Well, we had over 85 deaths of our elders that were in Orchard Villa. We had the most deaths anywhere and had to bring in the army. And where was our regional counselor? He was traveling. Both of our regional counselors were traveling. And because I called that out, you can see how vindictive he is. And when I won the election, the first thing I said to him, was, Mr. Mayor, would you like me to call you Mr. Mayor or Your Honor? What would you like me to call you? He said, whatever you want to. So I've always stuck with Mr. Mayor. And I said, Mr. Mayor, can we please put the past behind us? And I shook his hand and he said yes. But he has never been able to get over the fact that I called him out. His family sits there and they sit there and they say nasty things about me on social media constantly. And, he's never been able to put in the past. He's probably because his partner, wife, whatever you like to call her, is probably in his ear, because I know that when we're at functions together and she sees me, and if I walk up close to where the mayor is, she'll automatically just leave and go in another direction. And, it's the immaturity that you see like this, where adults cannot be adults. And it's frustrating. And you know what? This could have all been done with. We could be agreeing to disagree and move on. It's I'm not even a thorn in their side. I'm one vote. One vote. Why are you all bullying me, intimidating me, right? I'm one vote. And no one's better than anyone else on this council, in my opinion, because we're all one vote, which makes us all equal. But yet they feel a need that they need to sit there and gang up and go against me, and then say that I'm some kind of a threat and that I'm wasting taxpayers' money. No, quite the opposite. I'm the only one that voted against the property tax increase. I'm the only one that votes against these nonsensical projects that they're trying to put forward. I'm the only one that voted to stop with pushing forward anything that had to do with the Greenbelt scandal, where they want to build on those lands and push them through. And I was like, no, let's just wait till the Attorney General's report comes back, because I know it's going to be unfavorable. I'm the only one that votes against all of these things for the safety of our community and that. And for some reason, they don't like it. Is it because I have common sense for the common people? Are they threatened by me? Because it has to be something. Because me by myself, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. It's crazy.
Well, they are
they're clearly delusional. They lie a lot. They're off in their own little world. I'm telling you, they're dropping acid. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Lisa, we're out of time.
I have never seen anyone there do drugs. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I can't confirm nor deny that, right? I just about fell
Okay, Lisa, we're out of time. So I just wanted to ask you one more time. Tell people how they can get a hold of you and help you out. Go ahead.
Well, if you want to get a hold of me, my door is always open, but you can send me an email on lifelibertyandlisa@gmail.com. And that's and spelt out A-N-D, not the ampersand. Or you can reach me, or if you want to reach myself or any members of Pickering, it's always our first initial last name at pickering.ca. So example, I'm L Robinson at pickering.ca. And that will be the same for all members of council. And if you want to send a letter to, or any kind of information, like, whether you're for or against, whatever you'd like, and you want to get it to all the councilors, then you just write our city clerk and say that you want it given to all the councilors and the mayor, and she will distribute it so we all get the same email. Other than that, if you can always reach out to me. I'm always happy to answer. If I don't answer, try again, because sometimes my email does get held up at lpickering.ca, and I don't know why, but it gets held up.
I do, but yeah, whatever. So
sometimes I just don't get it, right? Or, feel free to call me at the City of Pickering as well. Or I do have my phone number for the City of Pickering. My personal work cell phone number is 613-318-LISA, LISA. So 613-318-LISA.
318 Lisa, 613 area code. Beautiful.
613-318-LISA.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you back on the show. Greatly appreciate it. Ed, you got 10 seconds. Go. That's it.
When did we get the 613 area code in the Durham region?
Well, we don't. It's 613 is an Ottawa number. And you know what? I know I am going to make it to Ottawa one day. I would love to I'd love to be underneath, Pierre Poilievre right now, but, I need to find a way to get in touch with them. I mean, with everyone calling me these names or not, he may not like me running against him, but I am truly the best candidate to serve as a conservative here in Pickering for sure, because I'm a true conservative, as we all know, right? So
yes, not a progressive, which is communist conservative. There's a big difference.
It's a huge
there is.
Lisa, we got to fly.
Absolutely.
So amazing to see you again. Great to be here, and we'll be calling you soon. That's an absolute promise.
Great. Thank you again for having me on, and thank you for keeping it, cleaner for me today. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
I'll go solo when I get dirty. Lisa,
okay.
Have a great day. Take care. All right. I'd say it's time for you to conclude, but unfortunately, we're over time. We got to fly. So I'll see you on Tuesday. We have Rob Anders coming back, everybody, to talk about gold and silver. You got a 5-second comment. Go. Anything?
Don't do acid.
Bye. That's Ed Janosek, everyone. That is it. We've had a great show. It's always a pleasure to get the inside scoop and the inside story from Lisa Robinson about what's going on in Canadian politics. And yes, don't forget, everybody, I can get rid of your CERB debt. I can get rid of all your personal and corporate taxes. Don't go to accountants. They're all cowards. They work for the CRA. I don't. I crush the CRA in everything that I do. Book your consultation right here at kevinjjohnston.com. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Kevin J. Johnston Show that runs every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on freedomreport.ca. I love you all, and good night.